Okay, I've bought the Acme transformer winder back from work. No, it's not really an Acme, it's a Collectric Limited, Brent Rose, Southall, Middlesex. So I'm going to try and rewind this winding again today. I've got some other wire. I've got 0.14. So hopefully 0.14 will go on. I couldn't find any 0.12, 0.14, I mean there's not a lot in it. So let's try this. Now what we've got to do is we've got our start and stop turn positions on the transform winding here. Looking at it from the top of the supply, I've got to start at this point, this is because this is where I finished, and that's at 0. And our first break off point is 335 turns. The next one's 1115. And 1225 is 1550 is the end. So that's I know I've written 1225 there. I just need to check that. Yeah, I need to check these numbers again before I start winding it. There's something wrong there. That should be there should be the differences between the two. So I should go to 335, and then if I reset it to 0, it should be 1115. And then it should be 1225. So yeah, so that's a 0 reset. So what I'll do is I'll actually write down the figures I should be seeing on the actual counter. There's a counter on top of the winder machine. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to quickly work that out, and then we'll start the wind. Okay, the transformer cores are just being glued together, just waiting for them to set. I've got this screw in the middle just to hold them together. This glue is designed for metal. The only thing is the winding, as you can see, is very close to the actual core of the transformer, but I don't think that's going to cause a problem. I've also managed to find another board on eBay. It's not the same board from the same monitor assembly, it's a later monitor assembly, but looking in the parts list it has the exactly same transformer, this transformer, and apparently it's from a working set. It's not cheap, but it's an option if this transformer doesn't work. There's no reason why it shouldn't do, really, I suppose, as long as the insulation's good. So that may be an option. The other thing that I'm sort of contemplating if I get the thing going is the CRT, as we know, is really low emission, and I think what I'm going to do is maybe if I get it working and I get the if I can get the whole DSA working, I might try rejuvenating the CRT with the B&K rejuvenator and see if we can get a little bit more emission out of it. Apparently there's a chap on the internet who's had quite a lot of success doing it with a spectrum analyzer, like I've got the same model spectrum analyzer I have, so there's no reason why it shouldn't work on one of those, and he's got a lot more emission out of it, and it's lasted, he's had it on for over 200 hours when his last report was, and he said the display was still bright, so it might be worth trying that because the display is so dim. And if we can obviously get the DSA working, then I might even consider replacing it with an LCD display. Anyway, that's the end of this video for the time, and we'll carry on later on. In this case, this is the second attempt at powering this up. The first time the video wasn't recording, you didn't miss much. Anyway, I powered it up, there was sort of like a fizzing noise, no display, and it wasn't drawing an excess current anymore, so that was a good start. So I'm thinking, well, something's wrong with the transformer. So I went inside and had some lunch, came back out, and I thought, well, okay, let's power it up, and I'll check the cathodes with the high voltage probe, and the cathode voltages were good, about 2,500 volts negative, which is good, and the grid control voltage was good. So I think, okay, I'll pop the anode cap off and check that. Powered it up, checked the anode, nothing, no voltage on the anode. So I'm thinking, oh, maybe the multiplier is gone. So anyway, I thought, well, I'll check the soldering to the multiplier, and then I thought I'll buzz the board out, make sure it hasn't pulled a plated through hole out, and sure enough, when I went to measure the load tension, the primary of the multiplier, or the input to the multiplier, it was open circuit, and that was where I'd cut a track when I was disconnecting the high voltage multiplier to see if it reduced the current load when I initially fault finding it. So the HT is hopefully connected back up, the final anode is connected up, and we should have approximately 9 kV. So I'm going to power it up, and obviously this is the second time for me, this will be the first time for you to see it. And let's see what we get. So here goes nothing. Looking very promising. No sign of a display. Okay, so still got a problem. I don't know if it's the actual picture's not being generated or what it is, but I've got no display. So I'm going to have to do a bit more investigation, check how 105 volts is present and things like that. Okay, the reason why we can't get a display up is because the heater's not working. And the heater's not working because it looks to me like when that transformer bent out, it took the heater filament with it as well, the winding with it as well. So the HV winding we've replaced. All that HT side of it works fine. All the voltages are correct. I've got high voltage. This cathode here, now this connection here, and you can see this connection from here to the heater filament. There's no voltage across here. This winding's nothing on it at all. I've disconnected it from the CRT, and there's still no volts across it. And it's got this tap here. You see that comes off from the last tapping of the transformer via this diode. and that's tied in with the tied up back to the cathode, probably just for insulation reasons inside the tube, I'd imagine. So there's no voltage on this winding. Now, what I did try and do was plug in external supply to give the tube its output, but it doesn't seem to like that. If I put heating power directly onto the tube, everything gets quite upset. So I thought, well, maybe it's got a heater cathode short, but it doesn't seem to have. So I don't understand why at the moment. Why, if I disconnect the I'm just having a look, just disconnect the heater wires and supply heater filament voltage. Well, I did get a dot on the screen briefly for a while, but there's something very odd going on here, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. Basically, the high voltage transformer section works, but I'm getting nothing out of this winding here, and it didn't take kindly to me heating the filament indirectly from a supply. It got all the high voltage started flashing about, and it was all the discharge lights were lighting up. So it is clearly something very strange. If you heat the cathode indirectly, it all gets a bit upset. So that's where we're at the moment. I think I'll have a break from this for a while, and we'll carry on. Well, there's been a real tail-chasing scenario. This real bloody saga. First of all, couldn't get the cathodes, the heaters to work. Couldn't work out why that was. Thought there was a short in the transformer. It's unlikely because the turns, there's only been a few turns. Then I thought, well, I need to check the supplies and things. I was not getting any current draw on the minus rail. Check the fuses, all okay. Check the test point, no minus 15 volt rail. Check the connection on the back, connection's good. Buzzed out these cheap Chinese crappy leads that you buy off eBay for like 100 for about £1. Bloody connector was open. Okay, so let's try it again. 5 volt logic is on. I don't need external heater hopefully now. And let's try this. Enable. And do we get anything? Voila! A display. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so as long as that transformer holds together, I need to check the voltages and everything, but got the display back. It looks a bit brighter than it was before. Maybe it's because I've overdriven the heaters for a while, but that's looking good. Now it's still fairly out of focus, I know, but it's working, and I'm very pleased with that. And it does actually look brighter. I'm wondering if that transformer had a shorty turn on it before, but that's the display section working. And if you watched through this part of the fault finding, thanks very much for showing an interest, and thank you for all your comments so far. Got the display working now. All we've got to do is get the rest of it working. Anyway, thanks for watching. Okay, one more thing I will do before we put it all back in the box is we'll just check our high tension voltages are in spec. I have 2 test points, but basically the easiest thing to do is check either side of the neon bulb. There's 2 neon bulbs that tie the grid and the cathode together, and basically it stops them going about for more than about 180 volts apart. It basically it's like a clamp. You won't see display. I'm not putting the logic on. All I'm going to do is power up on the HT section, and that's powered up. I mean, this is the meter. This is a times 1000 probe. So we'll look at one side. Let's connect my 0 volt connection up. Be a bit careful with these things. I don't know. They can become a bit capacitively charged. Bloody crocodile clip won't even clip on now. There we go. Okay, let's have a look. One side. Well, 2,475. That should be 2,500. The other side. 2,399. It should be 2,450. Okay, so I'm going to leave that at that. That's, I don't know what the probe accuracy is. Probably 5%, something like that. So, great, it's working. Let's just see if the display comes up. Let's put the logic on. There you go. So, brilliant. Yes, really pleased.